Let's break down what really happened with those headlines claiming Supreme Court blocks Trump's tariffs. News alerts exploded, making it sound like the Supreme Court had delivered a final verdict. But the truth is buried beneath legal jargon and media hype. Today we'll cut through the noise, looking at what the courts actually did, which courts were involved, and why the headlines missed the mark. This is about more than tariffs. It's about how checks and balances work, and how stories get twisted in the news cycle. Let's dive in and uncover the real story. The real action started not at the Supreme Court but at the U.S. Court of International Trade. Major importers challenged the administration's Liberation Day tariffs, arguing the president overstepped his authority under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEPA. Their claim the president used emergency powers to bypass Congress and impose sweeping tariffs without a true national emergency. A three-judge panel agreed, ruling the administration's use of IEPA was unconstitutional and overreached executive power. The court issued a permanent injunction, immediately halting the tariffs. Markets worldwide rallied, thinking the issue was settled. Headlines declared a clear victory for the businesses and a defeat for the administration. But in high-stakes legal battles, the first ruling is rarely the last word. The administration quickly prepared to appeal, signaling the fight was far from over. The legal battle was just moving up the judicial ladder. The next stop, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit. The story was only beginning to unfold. Let's see what happened next. The administration appealed to the Federal Circuit asking for a stay on the injunction. A stay would let them keep collecting tariffs while the appeal played out. The court granted a temporary stay. Not a ruling on the case, just a pause. This move restored the tariffs for now, creating confusion for businesses and markets. The Federal Circuit decided to hear the case en banc, meaning all active judges would weigh in. This signaled the case's national importance. The legal back and forth left everyone uncertain, tariffs off, then on again. Media headlines muddied the waters, suggesting a major win for the administration when it was just a procedural step. The real question, are the tariffs constitutional? Remained unanswered. The stage was set for a major showdown in the Federal Circuit. The legal drama was escalating, with the world watching. The main event was still ahead. Now let's address the Supreme Court confusion. Here's where the headlines really got it wrong. Despite reports, the Supreme Court has not ruled on Trump's tariffs. After losing in the lower court, the administration tried to leapfrog the appeals process, asking the Supreme Court to take the case early. A rare move called certiorari before judgment. The Supreme Court declined, simply saying the case should go through the normal appeals process first. Media outlets misinterpreted this as the Supreme Court blocking the tariffs. In reality, the court made no comment on the merits of the case. Denying a fast-track petition is routine, not a substantive ruling. The Supreme Court wants a fully developed record from the lower courts before weighing in. The real legal fight is still in the Federal Circuit. The Supreme Court remains on the sidelines waiting for the appeals process to play out. So, those dramatic headlines, pure media spin. The highest court hasn't touched the case, yet. The real battle continues below. With the Supreme Court out for now, all eyes are on the Federal Circuit's en banc review and the administration's backup plans. The administration is preparing to use other legal tools like Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act and Section 301 of the Trade Act to impose new tariffs if needed. These strategies could trigger fresh legal battles, each starting the court process over. The outcome of the Federal Circuit's review will be pivotal. If the court sides with the administration, the tariffs return. If not, it sets a precedent limiting presidential power. Either way, experts agree. This case is likely headed to the Supreme Court eventually. The stakes are high, and the legal questions are fundamental. The losing side will almost certainly appeal. The Supreme Court will then have a fully argued case to consider. For now, the story is far from over. The legal and political landscape is shifting, with new strategies and court battles on the horizon. The final answer on presidential power and tariffs is still to come. The next chapter will be written in the courts. Despite the headlines, it wasn't the Supreme Court that blocked Trump's tariffs. The real action is in the lower courts, with the Supreme Court only declining to intervene early. This case shows why it's crucial to look past sensational headlines and understand the legal process. The ultimate fate of these tariffs and presidential power remains undecided. The Supreme Court will likely have the final say, but that day hasn't come yet. Stay tuned, the real story is still unfolding.